It's been a little while since I've done a vector VO, and I just came up with a pattern which I quite liked. I've written down the things I liked about it, which probably won't make sense to anyone, but I'm going to try and now reproduce it and just show how some of the workflow operates on the vector. So I've got a standard preset or whatever file loaded now, and what I'm going to do is just going to set everything up. So I'm going to go into the global mode, dial up part 8, which I always make my drum mode. I've already got this patched, so I'm not going to show you that. I always pretty much change it to length 32. I'll change it to type drum and shift execute, off we go. Now I always also make part 7 drums, and I do the same thing, 32 step length. I don't really know why I do 32 instead of 64, I just do. And you know, that's fine. Usually I'll also make my chord part on 6, and I'm not going to use it in this particular patch, but I'm going to just go ahead and do that anyway because it's easy. So now you can see, I hope, you've got part 6 there and it's type chord, part 7 is type drum, part 8 is type drum. The rest are monophonic. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is actually start building a pattern, and I'm going to build up the melody part first, and I've already got my Tonestar set up on part 1, so I'm going to go ahead and select part 1, and I'm going to make it 8 steps. Well, that's pretty boring, isn't it? Well, I'm going to make it more interesting by putting it up 1 octave. That's awesome. See, 8 steps up an octave is going to be awesome. No, there's another reason it's going to be slightly good, at least I think so, and it's to do with the way we're going to divide up the steps within the 8 in the preset. So here we go. I'm going to get my pitch in. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'll go to global, change myself to a B. Yep. And I'm just going to make sure I've got the right stuff here. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start with a B4. I'm using shift. And when I dial using shift, I get to change a whole octave. So it's gone from B4 to B5, 6, 7, whatever. But this one's a B4, next one's a B5. That one going to be an, whoops, A4, D5. You'll see what I did then. I went up to D6, then went down an octave using shift. Just little workflow things like that make my life a little bit better than it would be otherwise. Again, did the same thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take out a couple of the steps. I don't want this one, I don't want this one, and I don't want that one. Oops, turn magneto off, we'll bring that in later. Alright, I've just put the frequency back to a more sane place. Alright, that's not terrible, but it's also not that interesting either. So I'm going to go into the length function now. And what the length function allows you to do is change the length on a per step basis. These numbers here talk about the step. Now I can go backwards and make it a shorter thing, like, sounds like you've got a limp, right? It's cool. Having a limp is cool. It means you've done something tough and you lived. Okay, so according to what I want to do here, I'm actually going to make step 2 1.5 pulses, and I'm going to make 7 and 8 1.5 as well. And the rest are going to be 1. So you can see the grayed out ones, they're the rests. Well, see, they're not triggered notes. 3, 5 and 7 are grayed out here, they're rests. And 3, 5 and 7, oops, the pitch is grayed out as well, even though there's a pitch. If I put a gate on that note, on that step, it would play that particular pitch. But we're not going to do that. Now, what does that sound like? Just by adding in the step variables, okay? Now it sounds like you got a limp, but you're drunk as well. I'm not sure if that's quite as heroic. But we're going to do something else here. Much like the Metropolis sequencer, you can change the quantity of repeats on a step. I'm not going to do anything too wild here, but I'm just going to increase this too. So this can be a bit confusing. My step length is 8, but But how many pulses am I actually playing? Well, let's try and work it out, shall we? I know the answer already, okay? But basically on this screen, which is our repeats, we've got a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. So that means 9, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But we also have to take into account the length variations we made. Now, if we go from length to repeat, the repeat's on number 6. So whatever that one is gets doubled, and the rest are multiplied by 1. Okay, so we go back to length. Fortunately, or whatever, 6 is the doubled one, but it's just on a 1. So let's count out the ones first. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 3 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So what I did then is I just put the 1.5s together, so that's a 3 there, and the 1.5s together, that's a 3 here, and I had to times this one by 1, and that comes up to 11. So I've got 11 pulses in my pattern. I don't mind that. I think that's got less of the drunken limp thing happening to it, and it just kind of sounds, you know. Yeah, I'm not unhappy with that. Okay, so now we're going to have to put a beat to it, which is going to be kind of interesting because we've divided up this 8-step pattern, or multiplied it in this case, so strangely. Well, I think so. So I'm going to part 8, which was that first drum part I made. Actually, just to get it out the way, I'm going to go to part 7 first. And we're going to keep this nice and simple. It's 8 steps. I'm going to go back to pitch, and I want to hit my crucible, which is hiding over there somewhere. And I'm going to just put a hit on every one of these. I'm not going to do anything strange with the timing. I'm just... Now that sounds weird, and that's fine. Just going to mute all the parts I'm not using, and mute that one too, because that doesn't make sense yet, but it will soon. At least, I hope it does. Mute that one, select the drum part, go back to pitch, and this is how we program our drums. Now, if I've got this right, I want... That's actually my Squid sample playing a kick that I programmed on my BIA, Seemlessly Iteratus Alter. God, I hate saying that. And I want one of these. Alright, that's 8. Which, as we already know, if I go back to part and unmute this, I'm playing 11 pulses against 8. That's not that bad, it kind of works. But it's not what I want to do here, at least it's not the end of what I want to do here. So I'm going to go back to the drum part, and I'm going to go back to pitch, and I've got 8 pulses programmed in. Now we already know that the synth part is playing 11 steps, or 11 pulses, sorry. It's playing 8 steps, but it's 11 pulses. And what I'm going to do is make this one also 11. So I'm going to go to control, length, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay? So now when I play the sequence, it's going to basically, well, let's go back to here, play 11. So now at least the one, I didn't clap that in time, but you get what I'm saying. Kind of embarrassing. Okay, so let's add some more notes in because we've got room to do it. There's a few ways we could add more notes in. One is we could just program them in. Boring. The other way is we could go back to here and go shift double. Guess what? We've got a 22 pulse sequence now on my drum preset. 22 is obviously 11 times 2. So basically, if we do this, still getting, it's nice and in time, okay? But let's just throw one extra hit in, because I quite like the sound of just one variation. I don't sort of overdo it when it comes to things. I want this one. That's nice, I think. There's a bit of push-pull there. Just that one hit. going up to 21, remember. Let's put another one on... Oh, that's interesting. No. Alright, let's just save that quickly. Okay, so what we've just come up with now is a 22 pulse drum part against an 8-step but 11 pulse synth part, and we've come up with an 8 on 8 cymbal line too. So let's just bring them in one at a time. I guess we'll turn the frequency up, and I'm going to put the delay on, because delay on a pattern like this, preset like this, sounds really good because everything's a little bit awkward. Okay, so we'll start off with just the synth line. So I'm clocking the magneto in an even time frame that doesn't obviously match the 11, but I like it, so we're doing it. Turns out quite a lot, actually. So, going back to control on the drum part, when we were writing this, I did the drum preset at 8 steps originally. I quite liked it. So what if we just wanted to pretend we were normal and playing an 8-step drum pattern, where you just take the length back. Oh yeah. I've got a nice long drum pattern of 22 steps, and you can see this is hitting on the first step of that's 17, 8 plus 8 plus 1. Now if I just go up to 22. You can mess around a lot. Also, you can go back to, oops, select the synth part, and you could do a similar thing. Drunk limping guy back now. Yeah. There's a lot more you could do, but that's 14 minutes of stuff, okay, for a video so far, so. Anyway, I hope that little excursion through some of the pretty standard features on the Vector helps kind of explain how it works. Now, of course, you could do a lot with modulation to have some fun with this too, but that's for another video.